Hi there, welcome back to Not Another Budget. I'm Nicole, and on this channel I'm attempting to cash budget my way out of debt, fix several years of financial misbehaviour, and hopefully resume, finally, normality, as close to it as is reasonably possible, at least in my corner of the world. I am with you today to do a review of the first week of July, which is the first month where my income has been normal since the end of January. And that is due to a period of reduced income as a result of half pay and phased return pay, which went on for quite some time. And as a result of that, I was very much a little bit in survival mode, and everything was stripped back and everything had to kind of go, we're just going to have to play it by ear. So what tends to happen is I do tend to weight a large amount of my expenses around the payday weekend. I will go fill up the car, I will do a big food shop, I tend to do most if not all of my personal spending around then, and I will also arrange for the majority of my bills to come out when I've got the most amount of cash in my account, and then I see what I'm left with, and then on the basis of that I will go ahead and go, yep, I need to bring in some more money. And that is definitely an intention for this month. I am working on building an emergency fund of £500. Is it going to cover every emergency that I have? No, but it's the intention of just having that little bit sat there ready to go. And also, if you saw my video yesterday, you saw that I have the rumourings of some form of a plan which I'm going to use to pay off my debt. And thank you so much for the wonderful attention that you've given that video. Hello to the new subscribers who have found me, and I've experienced a bit of an uptick in subscribers and views over the past few hours as a result of that, and genuinely thank you so much, and your comments and everything, thank you. I'm a little bit like losing of the voice today. I have spent the weekend, and this kind of draws into my kind of focus for the week. So my focus for the week was to meal plan. I certainly shopped around a meal plan, I should say, and then to get Vinted listings on some more, which is not a great way of writing things. But at the point of just before I sat down to film, I have 30 active listings on Vinted. I have sold 3 items, and I have 400 draft listings, complete with photographs, not yet descriptions, ready to go and be activated over the course of definitely the next week. And that's just 400 individual items that I photographed, so I don't even want to think about how many actual photos I've taken. That's slightly mind-melting. But to the detriment of, I'm going to completely ignore the housework, I'm going to completely ignore any other admin, I'm going to ignore any other thing that I have to do. I went into the weekend with quite a high anxiety drive, and it's the type of anxiety drive where put me in a shop and I will buy the shop type thing. So instead I made a decision on Friday afternoon that I would fill up my car for next week, and then I wouldn't leave the house. I wouldn't put myself in a situation where I would be tempted to go walk into a shop and buy the shop, and instead channeled that into 400, and including the ones that are live, 30 Vinted listings, all of which I will sit and go through and activate over the next few evenings. My intention is to activate between 15 and 20 a day. And I looked ahead to the weather that we've got coming towards the end of this coming week, where we're shooting up to uncomfortably hot, and the room that I use for my Vinted is my conservatory, and I will just get heated out of that room. So it is best that I get this done this weekend, although I'm not looking forward to the housework that I have to do instead. In terms of the first week, I really am like croaky and coffee today. I think it's just hay fever. My first week ran from Monday the 30th all the way to Sunday today, and I didn't do a car boot. We've had storms here, it's been lovely. We've needed it, and I have stayed home. And around then, obviously I've had a lot of bills come out, and I've also fitted in kind of 2 petrol fill-ups and a food shop as well. Rolling into this coming week, just a preview, it's running from Monday the 7th tomorrow all the way to next Sunday, and this is going to be a hot weekend where I don't want to go anywhere. But then actually, as you can see, I have got 2 weeks of teaching left, and as soon as those 2 weeks are done, despite the number of Vinted listings I've got, that's when I intend to kind of properly launch into the right, let's get selling and going again. I've just got these 2 school weeks to get through first, hence all of the Vinted photography and organising that I've done so far. But in terms of the money itself, I've talked a little bit about my goals. I would say that both have been successful this week. And in terms of the income itself and how it broke down, I did withdraw £31.50, which was my Vinted balance that was ready to go. There is a pending amount as well, but that's not yet available for me to draw on. But because I haven't taken myself anywhere where I could access cash this weekend, I've not cash stuffed it. So my wages were £1,932. I have found out why my wages have dropped, and that is because my postgraduate student loan repayments, which are separate to my undergraduate student loan repayments, have kicked in, and therefore it's looking likely that this is what my income is going to be looking like going forward. Vinted is £76.50. Other, which was like miscellaneous change, I think, £4.85, and then the rollover was £2.28. So I had a total income this week of £2,241.35. Now, in terms of bills, and I realised when I got myself very confused reconciling this that I'd actually shortchanged myself out of £100. £950 rent as planned for, £99.40 is my direct debit for my energy. I round up just for ease of numbers. £35 is my Wi-Fi, £17.07 was my car tax. YouTube Premium, which is my sole subscription, is £12.99, and then my mobile was £16 as planned. So that should have actually been £1,131, not £1,231. So my total, because it's near enough a match, is 11,000. No. I am so sore. It's not even... Okay, sore and mind baffled. I'm definitely resting after I filmed this. £1,130.46, giving me £1,110.89 to roll into savings. And this is the first time I've really been able to utilise this savings box on this budget planner, which is a design of my own. And you saw me cash stuff £277.85 of my £500 total. So that is stuffed, that's not gone anywhere. The little binder itself is this one here, I think. But I then took a rollover of £833.04 into my flexible expenses, and a lot tends to happen here around the first week of the month for me. So my cat medication was slightly less, it was £38.44. That is because I looked at what he had left of one and bought the one that he was running out of. I think we're good for another month on that other one. Fuel was £51.36, but I have filled up preemptively at the end of this week for the start of next week, so my fuel this week coming should be less than what I intend. Personal spending was slightly higher, it was £67.45, but I have got to send something back, so that should come back into my budget in the next few days or so. Toiletry was £23.18, and that's because I was not aware of how much prices have gone up there, because I tend to kind of top up as and when I need to. Food was slightly more, £113.84. I tend to do a larger monthly shop, and indeed I did very much stock up my freezer and put quite a few things in my pantry as well, which needs a massive clean up and a massive organise and a massive tidy. So if you want to see that with some kind of filming wizardry from me, let me know. Cat food was £13.57, and then I've repurchased the tickets, as I said I would, for the exhibition, which my sister and I cancelled due to the previously hot weekend of horrendous weather, and that's something we agreed that we were going to do. So therefore my total flexible expenses was £413.74, leaving me a rollover going into next week of £419.30. So just to preview the week coming up, maintaining the house, so getting that housework tidying that I've not done this weekend, and I try and take a day each weekend to really go through and keep on top of that, and it will take me the whole day, but that is because I try and keep my evenings midweek free. and it's just me who's available to do it. And then continuing with Vinted. I think continuing with Vinted is going to be easier because I have got that bank of listings that I can draw on, and maintaining the house, I'm going to try and look and see. There's a couple of days this week where I might be able to tiptoe away earlier from work, and I don't have doctor's appointments as well after school, so I might just try and spread that out over a couple of, like, I don't really want to be cleaning in super high temperatures either next weekend. So yeah, I need to be seeing what I can cope with so that I'm not just kind of melting on the sofa. My intended extra income is about £100. Now I do have about £65 pending in my Vinted balance, plus anything else I sell between now and then, and I am going to be sending out those offers and probably accepting slightly less than I would do normally, but the idea now is to just get the cash in and get it gone. The emergency fund, you can see, is still down here, so if I can do another cash stuffing for the emergency fund, that would be fantastic, but I have got the whole month to get this done, and I want to make sure that I've got enough cash flow going through the month. Food I may have to play around with in terms of what I'm planning to do. Fuel should be slightly less, but I'm not going to change and adapt any of these at all. Cat food I might not need, but it's worth having a bit in extra, so I might go ahead and do that. Spending will variable out. I might not need anything for household, and then the department trip I might not get to spend anything. The intention is to not spend anything, but the coach apparently isn't making any stops, so no opportunities there. So we're going to see what happens here. It's certainly going to be a busy week from a work perspective, and I'm hoping again I can take that kind of drive that I have and keep that going. And again, having such a large bank of Vinted listings ready to go, because the photography, but to a certain extent mainly the photography, is such a massive time sink, and indeed like having to just doggedly get my head down this whole weekend just to get it done and get the little like annoying things. That being said, the amount of items that I photographed are a drop in the ocean of what I have found to sell, what I've got to sell, and what I have yet to find to sell as well. So yeah, all in all, because the humidity is kicking in, I think, so I'm gonna call it an evening here, because as with standing and photographing and bending and sorting, my ankles, my hips, my legs, my thighs, all those joints are just sore. So I'm gonna sit and relax for the evening now and recharge before I go back to work tomorrow. 2 weeks left, 10 school days, and just like hotter than hell's weather hitting, and I don't understand why, and I hate it, but it's okay. I will love you and leave you. I will see you very soon for another video, and I hope you have a fantastic budgeting week wherever you are in the world. Bye bye for now.